What up, y'all? I'm Andrew, the host of Equal Heat. Here's where we take people's actions and statements and we judge them by the same standard, regardless of who it is. So that's right. It's Equal Heat. No free passes. Same standard for everyone. And so now that some time has passed and the dust is somewhat settled, we're going to review a few specific things that Anton did to put himself in a terrible light. I mean, the dude really exposed himself. And I wasn't going to begin this channel by reacting to two black men, but, I heard some things that really stood out that Anton never addressed and other podcasters and YouTubers haven't called him out for yet. So while the 99% of the folks online are making a case for who was scared, who would have won the fight, and who was more disrespectful, in just a few minutes, I'm going to call out the statements that Anton and his supporters are running from and definitely don't want to be pointed out. I'm going to share with you what I believe are the clues that prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that Anton came into that podcast with the main objective to dilute the history of slavery in America and to recruit younger black folks for the Republican Party. And I'm going to show you in real time with his own words, and you can hear the exchange, consider it, and then decide for yourself. So let's get into it. I'm going to play it from the beginning. That way, no one can say anything was edited out, and we don't miss any of the context, okay? All right, let's go.
True.
5150 in the house. Is this the first or the second show of the year?
Second.
Second show of the year, we jumping it all. Y'all already know what's up. I'm Corey Holcomb, eating these cherry sours I shouldn't be eating. This is Darlene or OG Ortiz, for people who don't know.
Thank you for that. Oh, my God. Not the full thing.
I was on time. I'm going to just say that.
Hey,
Yes,
we
sir.
expected it. I already knew. That's why I got here almost on time.
I was on time.
My man, you dig what I'm saying? A lot of y'all know. We said he was coming. Anton in the house. Hey man, let me tell you something. I'm so glad you're here because people need to see a clash like this. Not a clash within something bad, just people who got something to say, like what you say and what I say. I think it's gonna be interesting.
I do too. Yeah. I think it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, we had a great conversation, too. We had time before you got here, so we had a great
I
conversation.
buttered it up, so
You don't need to
That's what's
butter.
up.
I made sure that she felt good about this.
Yeah, you don't need to butter.
We still trying to get Shannon Sharp on here, so Darlene can have something to do after the show that she'll be proud of.
Oh, brother. Too old. That man don't want this.
Well, I know
Your
that.
chat think they tough. I noticed
They
that.
think they tough?
They think they tough.
Yeah. They be out there.
They not that tough.
Uh-oh.
We
You
seen
charging them up.
we seen
here we
we
go.
seen
Yeah.
worse. I don't pay attention to niggas that don't got no profile picture.
You know what? I always hate
promise to
motherfuckers
God,
talk,
bro.
And they scared to step forward.
I don't pay attention. I think them type of niggas jerk off in their socks.
Yeah.
Well, now they've gotten so savvy where they can actually put a picture, but you open it up and it's like, oh, no post, no nothing. It's like,
Somebody
oh,
said-
okay.
We don't take that serious.
Exactly. Keyboard cowards is what I call them.
Somebody said, what Craig had, he on time out. Craig had a show, fool.
That's right.
Craig going out here doing his thing.
Papa Craig.
But anyway, let's get to it, man. Let's get to it. There's so much to say. I know we ain't going to be able to get to it all, but
We gonna try.
there's so much to say. I got to ask you this, just off top.
I'm with it.
How do you feel? Because we ain't going to do all politics, because that ain't what the show
We
about.
got to get there though.
Yeah, but I'm saying I don't want you to miss no points.
All right, I'm with it.
What do you feel about this nation as they jack other nations for their resources and play it off like it's other reasons?
I
I'm
think
talking
that's a
about
part
this
of the
nation,
game.
the U.S.
That's the part of the game.
When you say the part of the game, I don't understand. Do you think-
Everybody done been conquered. Slavery didn't exist way before we ever came in here. So I don't see what the problem is.
well, I
Okay, so this is the first glimpse of where we see Anton is going with his answers. The first question Corey asked was how Anton feels about the United States jacking other countries for their resources and playing it off like it's about other things, right? So with that being the question, Anton answers with, oh, that's part of the game, which, most of us would agree to that. But then without anyone else bringing up slavery or anything like that, Anton adds, well, slavery was in existence before we even came here. So I don't see what the problem is. Like, where did that come from? I mean, y'all can rewind it on your own, but you heard it in real time. I mean, Corey asked about the United States jacking other countries for natural resources. And I mean, most likely he was speaking about what's currently going on with Venezuela and Greenland, if I had to guess. But Anton, for some reason, immediately pivoted to what folks from England did related to enslaving Africans. And him, being a acclaimed devout Christian, I guess his response was to teach everyone that blacks weren't the only ones enslaved through history, so it's just part of the game. So I guess with that being the thought process, I guess that would mean that the millions of deaths, the grapes of women and men, which he may be okay with, the destruction of those African families, like those would be the ancestors of black Americans, right? So the destruction of those families and the millions that had to experience the trauma, and then just to simply respond, yeah, it happened other places too, and I don't see what the problem is. Like, really? Okay, so number one, he brought slavery into a conversation that had nothing to do with slavery. But since he went there, the response that he gave, I mean, that lets you know immediately that the person speaking, by the way, who claims to be a dedicated and devout Christian, is not the type of Christian or person in general that we would think is worried about what other people been through or are going through, and damn sure ain't worried about what would Jesus do or what Jesus would want someone to say when they speaking on those type of atrocities, right? Did it sound to you like he was worried about serving Jesus and doing what would make Jesus smile? I mean, in real life, like he likes to say. Because what he said was pretty far from how a true believer and a true follower of Christ, Jesus, would respond. I mean, to be honest, it sounds more like the words of someone that's completely lost. And listen, in this same exchange, you'll hear Anton say from his own mouth that he's a lifelong chess player, right? And he also said that he did a lot of studying up on Corey. And if that's true, then he would have definitely known how Corey felt about slavery. So the fact that the topic of slavery, which was never spoken about or brought up by anybody other than Anton, when he's bringing it up, tells me that Anton was most likely just waiting for an opportunity to bring up slavery and use that topic in every way that he could for two purposes. To one, to protect the folks from England and do his very best to make sure that the settlers and slavers didn't look so bad for what they did to those Africans, because that's really the net of his statements about that and what they would conclude, right? And then two, to trigger Corey because he knows how Corey felt about slavery. He's the advanced researcher and lifelong chess player, right? But anyway, let's get back to it.
I tell you like this, I cannot respect men who are claim jackers. Like I don't
Like what? Give me an example.
Like the United States.
No, give me an example, like a real life thing. Like, what did they take?
The United States.
Like taking this country?
Not just taking this country. How do you think you got here?
The transatlantic slave trade.
You a smart man.
Right. I studied it. I know all about it.
So it's very hard to be respectful of what is here when me, for example, as an African-American male, I know how I got here. I didn't take the cheap flight on Frontier here. My people were kidnapped. My people were robbed. They what?
They were sold by Africans.
You say all the people were sold by Africans?
How you think what you think white people came over there and got us?
Yes.
No, they were sold.
So
they just capitalized off of it better than the Africans did.
Okay, so you're saying that all of the black people that were brought here were sold by Africans.
Correct. So
the white people were just doing transactions over there.
Absolutely. It was capitalism. See, the thing about white people, you think that racism is inherently in them. Racism is inherently in all of us. Black people is some of the most racist people I've ever seen in my entire life. We don't even like each other.
So can I ask you a question?
No, hold on. Let's stay there.
Okay.
We don't even like each other. And so black people participate. Some of the first slavers in the United States of America was black people. That's the truth. So what I'm trying to understand is...
Was slavery in the United States before?
Slavery existed thousands of years before we got here.
Okay.
Slavery was on every single continent in this world. That's a fact. Now, the thing that's a problem with it is that then this is the problem that I have. What you niggas want?
What do you mean when you say what you need?
What do y'all want? Like, because y'all complaining about it over and over again. And I'm trying to understand, what is it that y'all looking for?
Okay, right here. So did you catch that? So not only did he start off and he inserted slavery into the conversation when nobody brought it up, and now he began his PR campaign for the folks from England. Now he's continuing down that same road like an Larry Elders type would go down, or some other black Republican tend to go down when they're doing their very best to run cover for those white settlers and founders of America that either enslaved Africans or turned a blind eye to not only the slavery, but also to the savagery that was unleashed on those enslaved Africans and their families. So he tells us that racism isn't inherently solely in white people, but it's inherently in all of us. I mean, we're all racist, right? That's what he says. He says that white folks were just better capitalists and benefited more from slavery than we did. So it's not a big deal. Matter of fact, we're actually kind of being like haters then, I guess, right? He goes on to say that black people are some of the most racist people he's ever seen in his entire life, and that black people don't even like each other. He also goes on to say that some of the first slavers in the United States were black people, even though if you look it up and do the research yourself, you'll find that, yeah, there were some cases of this happening, but by all accounts, the percentage of African Negro slaves that were owned by other free African Negroes was less than 1% of all slaves. So what are we talking about here? Is he really going to be standing on that? That's his case? Some Africans enslaved their own people out here, that they were free and that they had Negro slaves too? And then like I said, if you do the research, you'll find out it's less than 1%. I mean, and to be honest, there's a lot of reasons why some of those Africans owned other slaves that were from Africa. I mean, in some cases, they owned their own family members who weren't free, and they bought them so they wouldn't be picked up by the white slavers. So there's a lot of reasons why they bought slaves, but I'm not going to go into that. He says he's tired of niggas complaining about shit they ain't never been through. So you see what he did, right? You see where Anton's coming from, right? Anton couldn't wait to bring up slavery. Why? Because he had a mission. He wanted to, number one, go through his list of all the things he had in his mind, of all the reasons why it really wasn't that bad. I mean, matter of fact, it was really Africans' fault. And we're actually being the haters out here. I mean, everyone was doing it. So why be upset with white folks? I mean, why be upset with the English settlers? Why would you be upset with the slave traders and the slavers? Because, hey, Africans had slaves too, even though we're talking about less than 1% of them that are in this category when we say that. But hey, why are you guys complaining? I mean, because you guys didn't even go through it anyway. So see, Anton couldn't wait to bring all that up. Anton didn't even have enough patience to let the topic of slavery come up on its own. He had to bring it up so he could go down this road and not only promote the fact that English folks are good people today and back then, but also had to bring up that topic because he needed to trigger the hell out of Corey. And you know what? That worked, because Corey jumps in and, well, we'll see that now.
What is going to help y'all?
A whole thing that has happened.
Because I'm solutions oriented. And I'm tired of niggas that ain't never been through shit complaining about shit that they ain't never been through.
If you black in the United States, you've been through some shit.
But I'm tired of niggas complaining about shit that they have never been through. Like, you've been through some shit, but you ain't been through that.
I don't understand. What are you saying? Like,
because most of the niggas that's complaining about it ain't never even really seen real racism. These is new niggas. All of these internet niggas right here, these is new niggas.
So are you saying black people in the United States, some of them have skipped over racism?
Yes, definitively.
Come on, man.
Definitively. You have a greater chance of being killed by somebody that look like you than to ever interact with somebody that don't look like you and kill you.
But do you
That's
understand,
a fact.
Do you understand?
Okay, people, again, for somebody who claims to be such an awesome communicator and an awesome strategist and an awesome debater and somebody that likes to keep it real, I mean, did you catch what Anton did right there? Because I caught it. I mean, just like with the very first question, when Corey was basically asking about the United States and the situation with Venezuela, as far as the United States jacking other countries of their resources, when asked about that, Anton changes it over to why slavery wasn't that bad and it was okay. Now, Corey asks, hey, are you saying that there's some blacks that totally skipped over racism, as in, not experience any racism? Anton, on the Republican cue, responds, yes. But then, unprompted and real quickly, jumps in to add that you have a greater chance of being killed by someone that looks like you rather than to interact with someone who doesn't look like you and be killed by them. I mean, did you catch that? I mean, Corey asked if Anton felt that there were blacks that never experienced racism, and Anton completely skips over the question that was being asked and moves on to some study about how people are more likely to be killed by people that look like them. And he didn't say that for white people, by the way, but he did point out for blacks and said that blacks are going to be more likely to be killed by other blacks. It wasn't the question. It wasn't the topic. It wasn't even on the table. It wasn't brought up by anyone other than Anton himself. So it's pretty obvious to me that his objective was to come in, give a pass, and kind of dilute what the English settlers did way back when it came to slavery. He wanted to trigger the hell out of Corey by downplaying slavery. And now he wants to talk about how blacks are actually the biggest enemy of other blacks. I mean, that's really what he wanted to say. He wanted to say, hey, blacks, white people are safe. You're safe with them. Actually, you need to be more concerned with blacks. And nobody even asked him that. It wasn't even the topic. But like I said, it was his main objective, and he wanted to convey to the audience these points way before he got to the show. And he was impatiently sitting there chomping at the bit, waiting for any excuse to throw these points in there, whether the topics were brought up or not. I mean, he's really showing that he really wasn't there for a conversation. He wasn't there for, in good faith, for an open, honest conversation in real time. He came with some predetermined objectives. And we're seeing what they are right now because he's saying things that are unprompted. I mean, these topics aren't being brought up by other people. They're not even on the table. He's bringing them up and he's just enthusiastically throwing them into the conversation and making it part of the dialogue. Let's go.
That it's made like that on purpose. The position,
it's the system. The system against us. I got it.
Okay, but the position you and your people are in.
Who is my people?
Black people. Do you claim black people?
I'm a Christian first. I claim.
Well, I think something's wrong with that. If you don't want to say you're a black man first, I think something wrong with that.
Black is a construct. They told you that you was black.
Okay, well,
that's
brown,
why you start
brown
believing it.
then.
No.
Maybe
We
I'm
not brown. We not black. We not none of that shit.
Oh, well, what are we?
We not none. For me, I'm a believer in God. That's what I am. My foundation is always going to be Christianity, Christ, Jesus first. I don't claim none of that other shit. You're not gonna get me to believe in you based off of some shit that you can't control. You didn't pick it. And the thing about other cultures, whether you black, Chinese, Asians don't fuck with each other just because they're Asian.
So you heard it yourself. Corey tries explaining to Anton about the position that, as he says, you and your people are in. And then Anton quickly cuts him off and asks, hey, well, who's my people? Corey responds, black people. And then he asks, do you claim black people? Well, Anton's response was, I'm a Christian first. Now, I'm not sure why, but I've heard a lot of Republicans go down that road. And I have no idea why they do that. I mean, you can be a black man or a black woman and be a Republican and a Christian. I don't know why some of these jokers want to separate themselves by not saying, yes, I'm a black person. I'm a black man. I'm black people. Anyway, let's continue. So he says he's a Christian first. Then he goes on to some explanation about how black is a construct and they told you that you was black. We not brown. We not black. We none of that shit. So he's really separating himself from black. So Anton continues and then says he's just a believer in God. He says that his foundation is Christianity and Christ Jesus. I don't claim none of that other shit. That's what he said. When I look at a person that's obviously black and can't state the obvious, for me, getting through to them is pretty much a lost cause. And they're either a lost cause because they're ignorant or they're a lost cause because they're so stubborn where it's to the point where they won't even admit the obvious. Either way, the conversation is really done. So let's continue.
Chinese people and Japanese people and Taiwanese people, they're all different. Koreans are different. All white people don't fuck with all white people. So why do I have an obligation to fuck with somebody just because he black? Okay. And then the definition of how you define black is based off of something that a white man gave to you.
Okay. Well, trust me, brother. You white people, let me tell you something. I know Caucasian people that have looked at me and threw me licks. But I am from Chicago.
And
where
I'm from
it was-
Detroit.
It was Chicago is very segregated. I knew nothing about Caucasian people until I moved to Los Angeles. And a lot of the stories I heard, it turned out to be just that. But back to this Christianity, you have to understand this. You were taught that by the people who kidnapped you. Is that a lie?
Nope.
Okay, so
We was taught everything that you know on this earth, it was taught to you. The racism that you have in your heart, it was taught to you.
you say I'm racist?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I studied you.
Wow.
I studied you.
This is why
Where
I
am
wanted,
I racist? I don't know a lot of racism in me. But
Absolutely.
maybe you can show me something I don't know.
We're going to
this
get
is why I
there.
wanted
We'll
you
get
guys
there.
to start the show off in your own like bubble.
No,
I
when
don't wanna-
Brother Anton Daniels was talking to me on the phone, I knew that we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things,
Yeah,
but
we
I
talked about
believe
that.
we can have a conversation like men. It's like a
Absolutely.
lot of stuff he's saying right now, I disagree with so much. But
Both of us.
I'm going to try to make a point because I have the hopes. I have the hopes in reaching him in a way. You know what I'm saying? I know that ain't guaranteed. I'm not.
And
blind
I
and
have the
stupid.
hopes that I'm going to get y'all off of the Democratic plantation.
Yeah, because I don't
really
know
do.
nothing about the Democratic plantation.
Everything that you speak of, it's a reflection of the same thing that they speak of. So you may not claim it, but you're a reflection of it.
Well, if I reflect something that is this Democratic plantation, I tell you what, I really don't study a Democratic plantation. I try to study being a stand-up human being where when I look in the mirror, I don't see a slick motherfucker.
Correct.
That's who I am.
I'm with it.
I don't like slick motherfuckers.
That's the first thing we agreed on.
All right. So in that exchange, you could see that Corey continues along with the conversation and lightheartedly shares with the co-host, I forget her name right now, that regardless of the differences and how Anton and him, Corey, sees life, that he has the hopes of what he said, reaching him in a way, meaning reaching Anton. Corey's at least a good 10 years older than Anton, if I had to guess. So I'm sure he feels like, hey, I've seen a lot of life. I've had a lot of experiences. I made a lot of good decisions. I made bad decisions. I've seen a lot of different things. And, maybe I could, help Anton see some things that maybe he hasn't seen yet or isn't seeing. And, maybe give him like another perspective. Well, Anton quickly responds that he has a hope that I'm going to get y'all off the Democratic plantation. And it's with this statement that you clearly see for the first time, and now it's crystal clear what the differences are, where as Corey wants to speak about life and principles in general, he even opened up the entire show by saying, I ain't going to be talking all about politics because that's not what the show's about. And if you go back, you'll hear him say that specifically, but he wants to do that, talk about life and principles in general. But Anton, he's actually really focusing in on Democrat versus Republican, which when you think about it, then it makes the source of his earlier defensiveness very obvious, and where all that came from. But I digress. Let's move on.
Okay, well, good. I'm glad we got there. But I get labeled all the time. I was talking to a young lady on the phone the other day, and she said, "I know you hate the what's the lady who calls herself a doctor? I'm blanking right now.
Oh,
Right.
my God.
Dr. Bryant." And I'm like, I don't hate nobody. Where do you get hate from? And then I was on the internet. Every once in a while, I look at the pages that use my likeness and image and everything, and I listened to some of the stuff they said, and I was called bitter, and I don't know how to get money. But anyway, coincidentally, today I'm talking to a brother who knows how to work the internet well and get money.
Facts.
Well, you see what I'm saying?
Facts.
So it's like everything comes in its season for a man like me. I don't say I got all the answers to everything, but I am willing to talk logically to people who I feel like are able to communicate. That's what I'm saying. Because like the stuff you say, and I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, that's your personality too. Like,
And it would be boring to hear just one person's take or views on things. This makes it interesting.
Excuse me, ma'am. You need a mic, ma'am. You can ask on the mic. God damn it.
Anton, just a clarifying question. What about, are you comparing racism with prejudice? Is it, do you think black people can truly be racist, or are we just prejudiced?
No, I think that there's a lot of people that hate white people, like straight up hate white people. And it's very unfortunate because they're not even the ones that's winning over here. We compare ourselves against a group of people that the majority of them is on food stamps and welfare. They would be a disappointment to their ancestors.
Right, but isn't true racism a system that controls access to, you know?
Well, that's the argument, right? The argument is
we can't make sure white people don't get access to certain schools and you know, programs and things like that.
The main way that they
You need to be empowered to be racist, to be quite honest.
But see, that's what I was going to say. That's the argument that black people make, is that you can't be racist if you can't actually have an impact on another group of people. So it's supposedly systemic. It's false.
Really?
I just seen a guy that used to be the president of the United States of America that wound up becoming the president of the United States of America for the second time almost get everything taken away from him. Literally. And he was basically being taken down by black people. Kamala Harris, Letitia James, who was the, in New York, Fani Willis, down in Georgia. All of those are black women, specifically that met with Kamala Harris months before they actually started this campaign during the Biden administration. And it's so funny to me because then I have to ask myself the question, well, listen, if this is a construct and if it's all about white people and all of the energy is going towards a person that black people fucked with before he actually ran for president of the United States of America, but we champion Barack Obama.
Not me.
No. Take yourself out of it. We talking about the culture. It may not necessarily be you individually, but we as a culture fuck with him.
Fuck with who?
Barack Obama and his wife. We fuck with him. As a culture, we champion him. We absolutely do. And he didn't give y'all shit except for gay marriage.
You know I know that. That's why I ain't
vote,
arguing with you
Anton?
on this
So
point.
absolutely I vote.
Are you independent?
Okay, I'm gonna let it run after this, but I had to jump in because there were two things that were just crazy. So first of all, the conversation swings back to racism, but of course it's racism, blacks against whites. And during that exchange, the first thing that you see is that Anton says that most whites are on food stamps. Now, I think he said facts or truth or something like that, and it's a flat out lie what he said. You know, it's just a flat out lie. I could share the numbers with you, but you know what? Do a Google search yourself. Just Google what percentage of Google what percentage of white non-Hispanic people are on food stamps. You're going to get something between 8.5%, maybe 10% tops of that demographic is actually on food stamps, which is, I think they're calling it SNAP or something now, right? So you can Google it. You can chat GPT it. You can run it through Claude or through Grok. You're going to come up with the same number. You're not going to get the majority of, like he says. I mean, the majority would be over 50%, right? Or at least 50. We're saying it's under 10% of that demographic is on food stamps. So obviously nobody is fact checking him in real time, so they can't shut him down because they didn't know they were going to be there to debate on who's on food stamps or not. I mean, it's ridiculous. So anyway, he gets away with throwing that lie in there. Now, whether he knew that was a lie or he just pulled that number, that little factoid, out of his rear end, I'm not sure, but it was completely false. And the second thing I caught is that on cue, he just had to bring up Obama, I mean, but he did it. It seemed like he was switching when he did that. It seemed like he was switching back to be black and with the black culture, because he starts saying we as a culture, as in black culture, fuck with Obama. He said, we fuck with Obama and his wife. So I just thought it was interesting that he thinks it's really cool to switch back and forth to being black and not being black, because in the next breath, he then switches back because he then says, but he, meaning Barack Obama, didn't give y'all nothing but gay marriage. So I guess when it's to his advantage, he not black or part of the black culture again. I mean, the man was everyone's president, right? So if he was, then that would mean that he gave you that too, right? So at any rate, let's move on.
I'm a Republican.
You didn't know that?
I'm a straight up, up and down Republican. And matter of fact, people need to really understand their history, because Republicans were the party of black people. It's the original party of black people. They were the party that actually freed the slaves. Lincoln was a straight up Republican. When you're talking about the emancipation, when you're talking about 1865, when you're talking about what we stood for, as conservative means that we're Christians. It means that we don't fuck with that gay shit. I'm telling you what it stands for.
You don't fuck with the backdoor shit?
I don't.
I don't either.
That's what it's saying. What it means to be a Republican is this, because a lot of people like to say,
because this is backdoor Republicans.
And we were taught by our parents. We were taught by our parents. We were taught by our parents that we vote Democrat no matter what, right? Regardless of what they stand for, regardless of the agendas that they push, regardless of how much nonsense that we see in our communities, regardless of how many Democrats actually destroyed our cities from Chicago to Detroit, all across the board. We were taught to vote that no matter what. You vote Democrat no matter what.
I agree.
But this is the difference between the parties on a very fundamental level, not complicated at all.
Really? You finna say it's a difference between the parties?
This is the difference.
I can't wait to hear this.
No. You may say that it's the same type of public politicians that take advantage of the taxpayers and take advantage of the people. The difference in the parties historically is Republicans want less government so you can do what the fuck you want to do. And Democrats want more control, so they want to control what your money is, where your tax dollars go, and what you can do with your money.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you this.
That's the fundamental difference.
I'm going to tell you this. And you don't have to believe me, but I'm just telling you.
I'm listening.
The people in charge are not Democrats or Republicans.
I understand that.
Kamala Harris is allowed to do whatever she's done.
We get that.
This new president, he's allowed to do whatever he is willing to do, or they allow him to do.
Facts.
Everything is allowed. There are people in charge of this nation that flat out run shit. And if ain't nobody got the power to uproot them, then we're going to keep having people paying a whole bunch of money for houses and a fire hydrant don't work in front of it, but they'll charge you for the fire hydrant in front of your house.
But we got a less than 20% voter turnout rate in the local elections.
Well, you understand voting don't work, right?
It does work.
How?
It does, but you just missed it.
I heard everything you said. I can't wait till you tell me how voting makes a difference in this country.
We have a less than 20% voter turnout rate in local.
Ain't nobody going for the sucker shit no more. We got to go.
You're missing it.
You got to uproot the people in power before a real difference happens. Voting is for suckers.
It's not. People that don't vote are ignorant as fuck.
Well, I guess I'm ignorant because I would never participate in no sucker shit.
People that don't vote.
I'm going to show up and vote like a sucker.
And not only is it ignorant.
We had Republican presidents. We had Democratic presidents. We in the same joint.
I'm talking about locally. You talking about national.
I don't give a fuck if it's local.
It matters.
If you vote,
absolutely matters.
That means you in line.
No, if you vote first, the first thing that it means is that you respect your ancestors that died for your right to be able to do it.
Your ancestors
it's so funny to
didn't do it like this. Because people went to war when the government tried to overthrow the people and the power of the people. It was wars. There hasn't been a war inside the U.S. where the people who getting fucked over are doing something about motherfuckers with 30 felonies being the president.
It's
war. All sucker shit going on.
It's a war every day. It's just not physical anymore.
Well, that's the problem. We need physical wars.
It's not.
Until motherfuckers ready to jump it off,
it's not.
We gonna always be talking. But see, real gladiators don't talk. Real gladiators make it happen. And the gladiators, I ain't gonna lie, we are under control right now. We haven't rose up and did what needs to be done.
Who are you under control by?
It ain't. You under control by the people who will motherfucking blow this motherfucker up. We ain't stupid.
Who is he? Because I want to know who.
Why do you think that ICE agent was able to shoot that woman?
I want to know who these. Hold on. Let's be real. Fuck that woman.
Well, that's what you would say to somebody you don't know or whatever.
No.
I'm on the streets. I've been pulled over by the police.
Who ain't on the streets?
Or the ICE agents or whatever.
You in LA. I'm in Detroit.
All right, we're going to wrap it up on this exchange because, to be quite honest, I can lay out 10 or 15 more statements that Anton made that I'm suspecting that he had when he first walked in there. But you can see where his mindset is at yourself, and the evidence is just stacking up. I mean, in this last exchange, Corey attempts to really share with Anton the idea that people that are in these elected offices, mayors, congresspeople, senators, governors, all the way up to the president, that these elected officials are allowed to do things that those with the real power allow them to do. Get it? And these people with the real power aren't Democrats or Republicans. And Anton even agrees with this point. But then when Corey continues to say that, well, if that's the case, then until we're able to uproot those people with the real power, meaning not the elected officials, then we will keep having these same problems that we've been having. Now, after hearing this, Anton skips over what he just said, or he just didn't understand it because Anton then pivots, and then he says, well, we have less than a 20% turnout rate in local elections. Corey goes back and says, well, you do understand voting don't work, right? Anton, again, I'm not sure he wasn't processing the question or the scenario that he already agreed to. He confidently and defiantly, doubles down and says, yeah, it does. It does work. Now, I'm not sure if the point that Corey made completely went over Anton's head or if Anton was just being argumentative. But if you already agreed that people with the real power aren't the politicians that you're voting for, and that those people are the ones controlling both the Democrats and the Republican politicians, you'd have to agree that until you get rid of those people and you get rid of the reality that the elected officials don't even have the power, if you don't uproot and change those two things, then your vote really does have little or no value. And I think that line of logic was totally missed by Anton. And if it wasn't missed by him, then him bringing up and talking about this less than 20% turnout rate was just another deflection like all the other deflections that we've already exposed together. So anyway, Corey goes on to reaffirm that voting is useless and, as he says, is for suckers. Now, I still vote, even though I believe that, especially if you follow that line of logic that Corey laid out, I personally still vote, but Corey's position is that it's for suckers. Okay, well, Anton then ups the ante, and then he says, well, those who don't vote are ignorant as fuck. And this is where things take a more obvious turn for the worse, and then they really begin to go completely off the rail. Because then Corey asks Anton, well, why is it that you think ICE was able to shoot that woman? Anton, being the person that just a couple statements ago loudly and proudly claimed that he ain't claiming black because the only thing he claims and stands on is being a Christian. He's a Christian first, right? And lives by Christian principles. Well, his response to that question about the lady being shot and killed by an ICE agent, his response was, let's be honest, fuck that woman. You get it? And this is where I'm going to stop it. I'm going to stop it right here because all the other content is really the argument. It gets into some personal stuff. It gets into who's challenging who. And I'm going to address that in a different clip. But this clip was really meant to break down what was actually said, what was factual, what was not factual, what was Anton's intent when he showed up, and did he give us any clues to his real objectives when he came in there. Corey said that this was going to be studied. And he was right. It would be studied because the people who were listening to this originally were people like me who wanted to see two black men who didn't see eye to eye on a lot of stuff, domestic, some social topics, and see what they could, maturely bridge the gap on, find some points of agreement and move on. We wanted to see two black men do something positive. And even though it does seem like Corey came with that, and he did his damnedest to get things back on track and being open to hearing somebody else out, but also he's a comedian too, so obviously he's going to throw some lightheartedness into it and some jokes in there too, which is going to be a natural thing that a comedian's going to do. On the other side, it really didn't seem like Anton came in there for a good faith conversation and dialogue like that. The way he was coming at it was like it was nothing for him to learn. It wasn't nothing for him to gain from. Not only was he not going to learn from nothing from Corey or his co-host or from anybody else, he was actually there for his own mission. And based on everything, the statements that we've heard, that we've broken down, the things that I already reviewed with you guys, and even some of the facts that he gave that weren't even close to being accurate, it just seems like his mission was really to go out there and get a get out of jail free card to the white European settlers of America and to a government that never kept its word on how it was going to make things right, with slaves and their ancestors. It seemed like he was out there to convince blacks that people that look like them are the enemy, so be careful, because that's who you're going to get killed from. Don't worry about the whites. He was there to let blacks know that they're out here complaining and they're basically full of shit. He was there to let us know that conservative means that you're not cool with gay shit. And hey, the Republicans have always been the best party for black. And by the way, that woman that got shot and killed, fuck that woman. I mean, that seems like what he was there to do. Oh, I'm sorry. And he also wanted us to know that regardless of his comments and regardless of his intentions, he's a Christian and a follower of Christ. And that's all he's standing on. And that's all he's claiming, because he ain't standing on that black shit. Now, this all came from his own words. I mean, you can rewind it, listen to it. We've all heard it. I did a very little paraphrasing. These are his own words. I mean, even a blind person can read between these lines. I could break down how I think he was feeling, what I think he meant to say, or my opinions about things, but I didn't want this to be about anything other than the facts and exactly what Anton said. I wanted to keep my feelings, his feelings, and my opinions out of it. With that being said, I do want to add one observation and one thought. He sure does use the N-word a lot. And when he wants to associate himself with black culture because, black culture is cool. And well, when he wants to associate himself with black culture and wear that street cred and associate himself with that swag that comes with being and living in the spirit of black Americans, well, then he goes back to being black and claiming that by saying things like we and using the N-word a lot. Now, that's just my observation. My thought about this is that regardless of the fact that Anton don't claim to be black, one day he will realize that everyone around him 100% sees him as black. And that's how he makes some of his bread. And that's how he gets most of his popularity. And that's a fact, whether he wants to claim that, stand on that or not. I mean, does anyone really think that when the folks over at Fox or white folks in general want to have a Christian on their show or on their platform and debate about Christian topics, they say, oh, we should call Anton? Or when they want to get a political commentator that's an expert in politics and the political machine, they say to themselves, oh, we really need to get Anton on here so he can walk us through it and help us raise awareness. When these people over at Fox and these white folks get Anton on their platforms, they say, hey, we need to get a colored person in here. We need a black person that sees things the way we see things so we can give our side some hope that not all black people disagree with us. Like he says, those blacks don't even like each other. And it's going to be either Larry Elders or Anton. I mean, they used to use Candace Owens a lot, but they found out that she actually sued her school for not protecting her against racial harassment and threats, and she won. And then she went against Ben Shapiro and his people. Oh yeah, after that she was out. So now, yeah, they got to go with just Larry Elders or Anton. Now listen, I'm not a Democrat, and I don't even know enough about Corey to be a fan of his either way. I'm actually a black conservative, which is not the same as a black Republican like Anton, and I have no dog in this fight. But I'll tell you, I'm very disappointed that young black men were robbed of seeing and learning from a mature conversation between two older black men. And that was a missed opportunity to shift the narrative. When I see hypocrisy, when I see my people being led astray, my instinct is to call it out and shine a light on it respectfully. And if you can support me in doing that, do me a favor. Like this video, leave me a comment, and let me know where you think I got it wrong or where you agreed with me. And subscribe, so when I drop the breakdown of the argument that they actually had, the thing that almost led to some hands, you'll be notified. Because that's where I'm going to share some things that I haven't heard anyone point out in any of the other reaction videos either. I want to see if you agree with me on who won, who lost that exchange, and we'll get in the mud. Thanks for listening. You guys have an awesome one. See you in the next video.